Why does Filipino food confuse so many first-time visitors? Not confuse in a bad way. Not confuse because it tastes wrong, but confuse in a quiet, thoughtful way that makes people stop, pause, and rethink what they believe food is supposed to be. It usually happens at the table. The food arrives. There is rice, always rice. There are several dishes placed in the middle. Some look familiar. Some don't. People look around before taking a bite. They are waiting for instructions. Which dish is the main one? Which flavor should come first? Is this meant to be mixed? Is there a correct order? No one answers. Instead, someone smiles and says something simple. And in that moment, the confusion begins. If you enjoy stories like this about Filipino food, culture, and the meaning behind everyday traditions, please subscribe to the channel. New documentaries are coming, and you are always welcome here. Most first-time visitors arrive in the Philippines with expectations already formed. They expect Filipino food to fit neatly into a category they already understand. They expect it to behave like other Asian cuisines they know. They expect strong spice, clear rules, and a clear identity they can quickly label. But Filipino food resists labels. It does not announce itself loudly. It does not rush to explain who it is. It does not perform. Instead, it waits. For many visitors, this is unsettling. Modern life has trained us to understand things quickly. We like menus that explain everything. We like food that follows familiar patterns. We like to know what we are eating before we taste it. Filipino food does not offer that comfort. The first bite often creates silence. Not because the food is bad, but because the brain is trying to catch up. Sweetness appears where it wasn't expected. Salt arrives gently, not aggressively. Sour notes wake the mouth without warning. Rich flavors are softened by rice. People chew slowly. They are searching for something familiar, but the food does not give it to them. This is where confusion turns into curiosity. Because Filipino food does not push one strong flavor forward. It prefers balance. It prefers contrast. It prefers harmony over dominance. For visitors used to bold declarations, this feels strange. Another moment of confusion happens when people realize there is no single dish in control of the meal. Everything is shared. Everything is equal. No plate belongs to one person. No dish demands attention. The table becomes a space of movement. Hands reach. Plates shift. Conversations flow. For many first-time visitors, this feels intimate. Too intimate. They are used to personal plates, personal space, clear boundaries. Filipino meals soften those boundaries, and that can feel uncomfortable at first. But it can also feel warm. The confusion deepens when visitors notice how relaxed everyone is. No one rushes. No one eats quickly. No one is focused only on the food. Eating is happening, but it is not the main event. Connection is. This is difficult to understand for people raised in fast-paced cultures. Cultures where meals are functional, where food is fuel, where time is always running out. Filipino food asks you to slow down, and slowing down can feel strange when you are not used to it. Rice plays a quiet but powerful role in this experience. For many visitors, rice is a side dish, something small, something optional. In a Filipino meal, rice is the foundation. It is not there to impress. It is there to support. Everything revolves around it. Dishes are designed to be eaten with rice. Sauces are meant to soak into it. Strong flavors are meant to be balanced by it. Visitors who eat Filipino dishes without rice often feel overwhelmed. They think the food is too salty, too rich, or too intense. But once rice enters the picture, everything changes. The meal becomes gentler. The flavors make sense. The pace slows down. Rice forces patience. You scoop. You chew. You pause. This rhythm is intentional, even if no one says it out loud. Visitors notice soup appearing often, even when the weather is hot, even when it doesn't seem necessary. Why soup? In many cultures, soup is tied to cold weather, to illness, to recovery. In Filipino culture, soup is tied to care. A bowl of soup is not about temperature. It is about comfort. It says, sit down. It says, rest. It says, you are not alone. Visitors may not understand this immediately, but after a long day, when someone places a warm bowl in front of them without explanation, something changes inside. They feel looked after. And that feeling can be confusing, because they didn't ask for it. Filipino food often gives without being asked. Another unexpected detail is how little explanation comes with the food. No long stories. No speeches. The dishes arrive. People eat. To explain ingredients. To explain history. But instead, they are invited to participate first. Understanding comes later. This is the opposite of how many cultures approach food. And that reversal creates confusion. But it also creates trust. Filipino food assumes you are capable of feeling before understanding. That is a powerful assumption. Many visitors later realize that Filipino food is not designed for first impressions. It grows on you. The first meal raises questions. The second meal answers some. The third meal feels normal. And one day, you find yourself craving it. That slow attachment surprises many people. Another confusing element is sweetness. Visitors often do not expect sweet notes in savory dishes. They associate sweetness with dessert. Filipino food does not separate flavors so strictly. Sweetness is used to soften, to comfort, to balance. This reflects a deeper truth about Filipino life. Life is not one emotion. Hardship and celebration share the same space. Filipino food accepts this reality. It does not try to isolate feelings. For visitors used to clear boundaries, this can feel unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean wrong. It means different values are at work. Another detail visitors notice is how long meals last. People don't rush away from the table. They stay. They talk. They tell stories. They laugh. Food becomes the background, not the focus. This can confuse visitors who are used to efficiency, used to schedules, used to moving quickly from one task to the next. Filipino meals stretch time. They create space. And space can feel uncomfortable when you are not used to it. But space is where connection happens. Visitors often say, I don't know why, but it tastes better here. What they are really saying is, I feel different here. Because food does not exist alone. It absorbs emotion. It absorbs atmosphere. It absorbs people. Filipino food is rarely eaten in silence. Another moment of confusion comes from appearance. Many Filipino dishes do not look dramatic. They do not demand attention. They do not compete visually. Visitors sometimes underestimate them. They think the food will be simple, and then they taste it, and realize the simplicity was intentional. Filipino food does not perform. It serves. This difference matters. For first-time visitors, it can take time to understand. But once they do, their relationship with food begins to change. They stop asking what the food is supposed to be. They start accepting it as it is. And that is when confusion begins to turn into appreciation.
Filipino food did not grow in restaurants or cookbooks. It grew in homes, in small kitchens, in places where recipes were not written, only remembered. Where cooking was learned by watching hands move, not by reading instructions. That is why Filipino food is difficult to define. It was never designed to be fixed. Two people can cook the same dish using the same name, and it will still taste different. Not because one is wrong, but because both are personal. Visitors often ask which version is the real one. The answer is uncomfortable for them. All of them are. Filipino food does not believe in a single correct version. It believes in care, and care changes depending on who is eating. This flexibility confuses people who come from food cultures built on precision and consistency. Cultures where dishes are protected and measured carefully. Filipino food values intention more than accuracy. That value comes from history. For generations, Filipinos learned to cook with what was available. Ingredients changed, seasons changed, circumstances changed, so the food learned to adapt. That adaptability became part of the culture. Visitors may not know this history, but they feel the result. They taste a dish one day, then taste it again somewhere else. It is familiar, but not the same. At first, this feels confusing. Later, it feels human. Another reason Filipino food feels unfamiliar is because it is deeply connected to family. Many dishes are not designed for individual plates. They are designed for sharing. They expect a table full of people. They expect conversation. They expect time. When a visitor eats Filipino food alone, something feels missing. They may not know what it is, but they sense it. Because the food is waiting for others. Filipino meals are rarely rushed. People sit. They talk. They stay longer than planned. Food becomes part of the background, while connection moves to the front. For visitors used to fast meals and tight schedules, this can feel uncomfortable. They are not used to food asking them to slow down. But slowing down is part of the experience. A simple dish can bring back memories of childhood, of family members who are no longer there, of moments that were small but meaningful. Visitors may think they are just eating, but for Filipinos, food carries memory. This emotional layer is quiet. It is not explained. It does not demand attention, but it is always present. And when visitors sense that depth without fully understanding it, they feel confused. They taste something familiar, yet heavy with meaning. Another unexpected thing is how forgiving Filipino food is. It does not demand perfect technique. It does not punish mistakes. It welcomes beginners. This reflects a deeper cultural belief. People matter more than perfection. Visitors from highly technical food cultures sometimes struggle with this. They expect complexity and difficulty to signal value. Filipino food offers comfort instead. And comfort can feel unfamiliar when you are not used to it. Spanish flavors exist beside Chinese techniques. Local ingredients sit next to foreign ideas. There is no conflict. Filipino food does not try to prove purity. It accepts layers. This mirrors Filipino identity. Adaptable, resilient, open. Visitors often say, "I don't know how to describe it." That is not a weakness. It is honesty. Filipino food is not designed to be explained quickly. It is designed to be lived with. Another moment of confusion comes during difficult times. In many cultures, food pauses during hardship. In Filipino culture, food continues. When someone is grieving, food appears. When someone is tired, food is offered. When words feel too heavy, food speaks instead. Visitors may not understand this instinct at first. They may wonder why people are eating during serious moments. But Filipino food is not only for celebration. It is for support. It is for presence. Food says, "I am here with you," when words are not enough. Another detail that surprises visitors is how often people insist they eat more. Eat more. Take some home. Have another serving. At first, it can feel excessive. But it is not about the food. It is about care. Making sure someone eats is a way of making sure they are okay. This habit can feel unfamiliar to people used to clear personal boundaries. But once understood, it feels deeply warm. Over time, something changes. Visitors stop asking what the food is supposed to be. They start asking who made it. They stop judging the flavors. They start listening to the stories around the table. The confusion fades. Not because everything is explained, but because it felt real. If this story changed how you see Filipino food, please subscribe to the channel. We share quiet stories about food, culture, and meaning in the Philippines. New videos are coming, and I'd love for you to be part of this journey.